Absolutely. But without any further ado, let's hop into our next segment of the show. It is a fan favorite. We are going to be hopping into the deep dive where we break down gameplay analytically and we tell you guys what's going on the map. Deep dive. All right, Zin. So I think it's only right that we start out on this map. We talked to Standy. We have him and Beans on our team of the week. And here we're looking at their first map of their series. So we didn't know really what to expect coming into this. Oh, whoops. We didn't really know what to expect coming into this. But they play an Albagra Fortress and Vegas comes out on top. But just by the chin hairs on their chin, whatever the hell the saying is, these guys barely pull it out. So we're going to break this down for you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think a lot of us sort of know how this ended. It was probably one of the most electric maps we've seen all weekend long, or honestly on the year. Standy, who we just spoke to, was lights out. TJ was very impressive this map, and especially versus the Boston team, who was very, very strong on Fortress. It was, you guys saw it there, was a 0-3 record going into this map for Vegas, so everyone was kind of doubting. Nonetheless, we're starting on good side, which it's pretty clear-cut. You're starting on good side. The only thing you want to do is win these initial fights, not let your opponent cross the art, while simultaneously blocking those stone steps. Look where number 6 is right now. So his goal is to make sure Boston is not getting any wonky spawns. They want to keep them in that demon trap.
Yeah, so essentially, Zinni said it best. You just want to keep these guys trapped here. And the mistake that we see with teams a lot is that they'll give up that top maps control, which is right here on the mini-map, if you guys can see it, where number 1 is right now. They'll let people sneak through and get through art, and then they kind of pinch you out. They kill you stone stairs, and that's why you see that these spawns can become so sporadic. But Vegas does a great job off the rip. They utilize their good side spawn, and they keep them in that trap pretty much the whole time. And Standy, again, we were talking about him. He just does a great job as a roaming slayer on this map, keeping them at bay the whole time.
I want to just note sort of his play here, right? He doesn't stay stagnant and try to hold this street and fend off their entire team. He goes for a timing. He actually pinches top art, and he knows that these players are going to be pushing that P1 street after getting that scrap time, and he has the perfect pinch on the 2 players here. He's just a thorn in your side. A lot of players would take that sort of risky fight and try to, I guess, Captain America the entire team. He makes the right play there, plays his timing, hits that pinch, and that's why Vegas currently has control of this P2.
Yeah, so right here, I mean, it's just an all about mixer. You see number 7 already backing up to depths, which I love that play out of Donnie. It's a super disciplined play. They realize that this 30 seconds is just kind of not really important, and you can see they flip to that P5 spawn, and that's really one of the main spawns that you want to try to block. So you'll see teams regularly try to get P2 time, push out to P5, block the spawn, and then flip them to stone. And that's how you kind of put teams in that P3 blend off the rotation. And Vegas does a great job at that right there.
We just saw Tej win a huge fight bottom maps, because if they killed Tej, that guy on the old hill probably would have left that time. They would have tried 4v3ing while TJ spawned out like back P2. So TJ makes a big 1v1 there bottom map. So great play from Tej. Like I said, he was electric all series long. And I think for him, his downfall has always been respawn. This year, he's been very inconsistent, but his search has been lights out. And this series was incredible for him, but we can talk about P3 all day. This is the ideal scenario right now. Eli Standy being pushed out in art. Boston has to take care of him, or they have to flood through maps. They can't really leave themselves exposed to top single or top dub window. And this is when he's just having a field day. I mean, they're spawning P2. They're forced to come and try to kill him.
Yeah, and he knows exactly where they're spawning, because there's only 2 spawns here, and it's basically bottom art where he is right now. But since he's blocking that, they are just going to keep spawning stage, and they just have him in the super blend. And we talked about it while this match was going on. Wake started 0-8, and it is so hard to get Wake to start 0-8 with the gun skill that he has. So Vegas was just playing this perfect, and you see Standy again just being an absolute nuisance. He's been alive this whole time.
And that's what's so important is the ability to play his life. He's not sticking in one room. He's not sticking in one area. Boston is forced to go hunting. And honestly, their forces are kind of split. Like, they're kind of spread thin. They don't really have the resources to send 3 people hugging hands to go after him. So Eli, I mean, it's a masterclass here. I think he goes on like a 10 or 11 spree, just literally roaming top art. And he's one of the reasons why they end up taking this map. It was close, but just I can't gas him enough for this play. And now Boston, I mean, look at the trap they're in.
Yeah.
Vegas has the perfect line across art. They have a guy P2, P1 street, on hill.
And I wanted to say, so this hill is actually interesting because it's worth noting that there's really 2 spawns you can get whenever you're trying to hold this hill, and it's either back stone where he just spawned, or you're going to spawn stage. And whichever side you spawn on, they're actually coming from the other side. So right here, he spawns back here, number 6 does. So instantly, Vegas should know that all of the pressure is coming through stage side and like bottom art, because you usually get, whenever you get that spawn, you spawn on the opposite side. And they keep locking down this time. And honestly, having the hill white right here is not a big deal at all. Right now, you just want to lock this down going into the P5 hill and try to keep control of this side of the map to keep them trapped for P5.
Yeah, so Boston start off slow here, but, I mean, it's just incredible plays from Vegas. I haven't noticed many misplays from Boston, more so just incredible play from Vegas. It's very hard versus any team to clear someone who's roaming top art. Like, you'll see Pred make that play a lot, or shotzzy, where they get top rails, they're just running circles. Nonetheless, it's a pretty standard setup here, right? Vivid's gonna be pushed out P2. He's trying to make sure his teammate on Anvil can't die, and those players with ARs, number 3 Awakening, he's gonna come head glitch the barrel. They know that Vegas sort of have to overextend to check that Anvil corner.
Yeah. Vegas does a decent job here, but Boston, they set up that line, and right here it could become so annoying when you're the team trying to break, because you know that they're in those corners, but their ARs have so many lines of sight, and especially with Nero getting out and being able to roam a little bit, it just makes it so difficult because there's only so many angles you can try to fight Hill from, and Boston just has every single one of those locked down. So it's actually pretty difficult to get P5 time, I feel like.
I mean, the one plus for Vegas is, like, you're not even really super worried about this time. The only worry is keeping them trapped on that side of the map. Like, sure, let's give Boston that 30-second scrap time. We can essentially chain a P1 to P2 rotation and get a full 60 on P1, secure those spawns for P2, as long as we make sure no one slips through. So sure, Boston can sit on the head glitches, they can hold all the time in the world. If we don't overextend and try to overplay our hand, we're still going to have them exactly where we want them with like a 40, 50-point lead.
Yeah, right here, best case scenario, New Hill's about to pop on P1. To go back to what Zin was saying, they just have them in the demon trap. Number 5 is probably going to back up here, block stone. We'll just let this play through. And look where Boston is spawning. And they have all of the cuts in the world. If you're Boston, you know you have to clear out maps. You know you have to clear out P5. You have to clear out side maps. There could be someone top double windows. Like, there are just so many angles to be able to just be a nuisance.
And let me just say, I don't like the angle Donnie just played there. I feel like whenever a player pushes up in that deep right corner, they rarely ever find success. A lot of players do it, but I just feel like it's a lot safer to play that box, because from that box, you can sort of angle yourself towards gate. And if your teammates die holding left, you can just lay down under the box and essentially get bullets on people that are crossing, hopefully even get the kills.
Yeah, I'm actually going to mute here for the listen-in because we heard the listen-in. We're trying to break this down analytically, so we'll unmute whenever the listen-in goes off. But yeah, right here, best case scenario for Vegas again. 170 to 80 on the score. They know that this rotation could basically just close the game out, but Boston makes some big kills, and they have Big Wake on stage already, and they're just going to try to flood through the front here and hold it.
I mean, Joe slipping through there was very important for Boston. He plays his life long enough for his teammates to come reinforce. If he didn't slip through, Vegas would have walled straight in, had hill control, play their off angles on open and closed. Nonetheless, Boston has hill control, and they're also going to spawn close, right? Luckily for Vegas, number 6 is in a spot where he's blocking that under dub window spawn. He can try to get some bullets on people crossing, but look what spawn opens up for Boston here.
And I believe this is where Boston starts coming back, and there's a very, very big reason for that. Look at the mini-map right here, guys. Look at it. They are all trapped in the back. You have Boston early rotating, securing the P3 rotation. This is like best case scenario for Boston. They're getting scrap time. They're getting kills on ult. Obviously, Vegas breaks in, but that 15 seconds doesn't really matter because they did their job. They split the time on that hill. Now they're going to get a clean P3 rotation, and they know that this is their foot back in the door. And we're going to see a good hold here from Boston in just a second.
I mean, once again, sort of similar from before, but this time it's Boston. Nero makes a big kill towards P1, so his teammates don't lose numbers. If Nero would have died there, you would have seen Vegas probably be very aggressive with numbers in a 4v3. That being said, Tej also had a cruise, so maybe a little different of an approach. And obviously, we don't know by now, if you bang that cruise missile into a wall, it pretty much makes the trophy useless. So very important. If you're not banging those cruises into walls, I would start doing that.
Yeah, that has become the norm. So I actually like that. A lot of people will argue I don't like that. It's cheesy. I don't want to see that. But I think that it's the only way to really counter a trophy. I actually like that players are kind of finding out how to work around the trophy system because, to be honest, it shouldn't blow up cruise missiles. And I think a lot of people agree on that. But here, Vegas breaks in again, largely to those cruise missiles. They use 2 of them on that break. But again, Boston staying ahead of the game. They realize, okay, we split time on P3. Probably wasn't the best hold. They could have done better. But again, 2 cruises, it's a hard thing to deal with. But they're setting up for this P4 rotation here, and they're just getting kills around mid-map, being annoying, similar to what we saw Standy do earlier where he was just roaming in art.
Yeah. I mean, this is where it gets sketchy for Vegas, right? They were sort of in prime position all game long. Now this hill becomes scrappy. Vegas gets that P3 scrap. Boston now, you're going to see a little bit of white time, but, like, this hill sort of usually always gets scrappy. I feel like now teams are getting better at holding it. Like you said, like we saw earlier, they kind of formed that line and they spawned Boston front left.
I think this hill is really hard to hold. Like, to have a really, really good hold, you just need to straight up outslay.
Well, because
it needs to be
can't
clear.
watch everything, right? Because you have to remember that you can do like the single and dub window jump. So you essentially have to watch single jump, dub jump, bottom art,
Stage,
both P2,
P1
street. So you just don't have the numbers to really hold everything. That's why that hill gets a little mixy. Nonetheless, we're rotating back to the anvil hill here.
Yeah,
this is where Joe starts popping off. I
Yeah.
think Joe finds a 4-piece.
Yeah, so I wanted to highlight that. So Joe actually, we'll go back just a little bit. You can see how long Joe's out here. There's 13 seconds left on old, number 3 on your minimap. He just makes a good play and gets out. Now Vegas has to worry about him. They don't know he's here yet. They might have an idea, but I don't know if they have information on him. But Joe ends up basically saving the game for them. They could have lost this way earlier because Vegas ends up getting these initial kills whenever this hill's about to pop. And Joe just makes a big play from the back. You see a 2-piece from Vegas. Joe gets a 2-piece to counter it, and then he ends up getting 3 and I believe 4 after this. He just makes a big play and gets out early and sets his team up for success.
And he started off 0-8. The kid's now 22 and 20, so he had quite the turnaround. He's a player that rarely starts slow, and even when he does start slow, he gets that foot back in the race. But nonetheless, I mean, this goes from a comfortable game for Vegas to a pretty sketchy one, and I feel like we kind of see that with Vegas pretty consistently. They're always in good positions in hardpoint, and then somehow, some way, there's like a 10 to 20-point differential. And Clay has spoken on that before, where it's like even in all their losses, they're losing by 10, 20 points every single time. But luckily for them,
this is where it gets sketchy for Vegas.
Yeah.
Right here. So you see again, the P1 hill is so damn important. They end up getting 4 deaded on P5, trying to secure some of that time because they're 22 seconds from winning the game right now. In their minds, they're like, getting that damn hill. Let's try to soak up every second we can. Boston thinks bigger picture, ends up getting the kills. And
well, don't let the lead fool you here. Right now, Boston's in the position to win the game.
Correct.
Like, even though they're down 20 points, they have that demon trap, essentially. And now if you're Vegas, you need to hope to win fights on P1 or start pinching around P2 and art to try and mess things up and make sure that Boston can't win on P1. And that's exactly what we'll see. Clayster makes a big kill from top art. You'll see TJ's in a pinch dark. And now the spawns flip. So it went from perfect scenario for Boston to ideal scenario for Vegas. Clay's making some kills. And I like the discipline here. They don't get frantic and immediately try sprinting at the truck to kill the guy out of P1. They play the cuts first. They know that guy in the truck's a sitting duck. And once again, it goes from prime position for Boston, then to Vegas, and now for Boston with that spawn flip.
Yep. And here we go. This is where it starts to become a grade A bang out. Ladies and gentlemen, Boston is in the clear position to win here. They're spawning Vegas out.
Right here should be done.
This should be done. They have them trapped, but Vegas works some magic. They break in through the front at the end of the game.
No, not Vegas. His name is Thomas T.J. Haley. And he pops a ginormous 3-piece to allow his teammates to get back into play. I believe he goes on a 4 or 5 spree here. And, I mean, the kid's got an SMG trapped in a corner. Definitely a mixture of misplay from Boston as well as a great play from Tej. I mean, just saved the game. And then Eli Standy comes in with the Kobe to save the game.
Yeah, and you can see the frustration on Boston's face there. They know that they let that one slip through their fingers. They were in the position to win that game. Tej goes massive, gets 4. Standy comes in with a big 2-piece nade, and they end up getting it done.
Yep.
It was an absolute bang out of a map, and you know, it was a great one to watch. So now we're going to be taking a look at our second map of the deep dive. We've got some Expo control. We would have got the optic one, but I don't think the VOD was up yet. So we're just going to go here with Boston Breach versus the Vegas Legion again.
And let us just say, we like to think we have some extensive knowledge. Obviously, we're both former pros in this game. This map is new to us too, so we're kind of learning with you guys as we sort of analyze the mini-map and see what's going on. I kind of have a basis of spawns, but nonetheless, like, I think even the pro teams are still trying to figure out really what the optimal play is, and that's why we saw it so few times this weekend. I think we saw it, played twice, right, in this series and then the
only
optic
twice.
series. So
yeah.
Teams are sort of straying away from it, and we thank the teams who let us watch this, because I speak for everyone when I say it is miles better than Fortress Control to watch.
So we talked to shotzzy a little bit on the couch, and he said that the offensive side is favored, and I want to highlight why he's saying that. Off the initial spawn, you literally can just walk down to A, and if you end up making those kills like you're seeing here, Nero is just popping pieces. That is 2 ticks. Obviously, Vegas ends up getting a lot of trades, but that is 2 ticks in the first 11 seconds of the offense. That is just, it seems free.
Yeah, and with that being said, it's kind of like, I feel like there's no risk, because that main spawn point, look where number 2 is spawning. You spawn like that top right corner of the map, and you kind of have like a bunch of avenues to be, right? You have like that left hallway, you have the bottom hall, you have the top windows, you can pinch top barbecue or top bar, whatever people are calling it. So I do feel like there's no harm done right now trying to capture A off break. And the one thing I will say about A is it's definitely a little weird, because the point is sort of bigger than you'd expect, because you can contest it from the front side at those boxes.
I think it needs to be that big, though.
I agree.
Because if it's not that big, like we said, whenever we talk about that spawn where you can just run down to A, if the defensive team can't contest that at all, it just makes it way too easy on the offensive team. And I said the same thing when we were playing it in ranked the other day. But once you actually like see it and realize it, I think that it needs to be that big, or it just wouldn't make sense. But you see Boston creep on into A, they end up making some good kills, and that's the point gone. And now I feel like this B point, if you lose A, unless you're out, like if you get killed at B, I feel like it is so easy to cap for the offensive team, because they basically have 2 alleyways to push through, jumping down through backstage, or they have to flank through mid, and it's kind of an easy read because you can just pick up this low haul. I feel like it's so hard.
I mean, that's why you see teams capturing B more consistently. Like, usually teams capture B first on this map, and we've seen it so far, is because B is just a way easier point to cap, especially based on the spawn. It's like you spawn, and you're right there. Whereas A, like, if you don't make that initial wave of kills, you're kind of put in that trap, and you're forced to go B because you're spawning so far away from A. The only way you'll spawn A is if your opponent literally pushes into, like, the top right side of the map.
Go ahead.
Here. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Up here, and then you'll start spawning on this A ramp,
Spawning
which teams don't like to do because they know that A is the harder point to cap. But luckily for Boston, they capture A first, maybe a bit of a misplay from Vegas, and now they're just in prime position to just keep flooding.
And I do want to say, I think that when teams get better at this map and they get more reps on it, I think that it's only going to get easier and easier for them to win on offense, because like you see Tej right there about 30 seconds ago, he was playing a Creddy laying in the left hall behind the stage. That's not as readable right now, but once these teams get more reps on this map, those creddy spots that people are playing are going to become like second Nate. Like, they're just going to know that you're there, and I feel like it's going to become so hard. We see Boston Breach take the first offense. Really, honestly, clinical. Again, let's highlight the spawn. They just waltz right down to A.
They're just going for it, man.
There's no contest. You can just fucking fly at that thing.
I mean, your best bet right now for Boston is to play that A-Street, because if you chow like those top windows, it's kind of a risk because the offense beats you there, and they're pretty much already pre-aiming those windows. Obviously, it depends on your shots, but most of these pros shoot pretty damn straight. So that's why you don't really see a contested off break from the top window lookout. Nonetheless, Vegas get on A. Luckily for Boston, the trades are in, and just let's highlight the spawn for Vegas. Look where number 5 spawns.
Yeah, they're spawning.
Pushed up towards B. I'm confused. I'm actually confused. Why did number 5 spawn top right and 8 just spawn towards A?
Yeah, that is...
I don't really know.
So that happens a lot in this game, though, I feel like. The split spawns, and we saw it a lot on Control. on hotel.
Yeah.
Like, teams will be in kitchen, but then someone would still spawn back kitchen.
So that one makes sense, because number 1 pushes up towards, like, the right side B spawn point. So
and he's blocking.
So then they start spawning A.
So the 2 spawns, just to highlight, on the B side, it's down here in this little room, or they spawn, like, up here, and then the other spawn on the other side is, like, back here. So the spawns are kind of, like, insane, and we saw Optic manipulating them a little bit today, where Ghosty would push up back through the A side and, like, force them to spawn in Narnia on the other side of the map.
Yeah.
But Boston has a good defense there. They end up saving A by the last second heroics, and again, you see Vegas get that B spawn, and they just kind of take
right
it.
there.
Yeah.
Because if you're Boston, you kind of have to have some defense at A. So you have to have, let's say, 2 people at A and 2 people towards B. When you spawn so close to B, I mean, the people defending A just don't have time to, like, get to a spot to really cut these guys off B. Essentially, you're always going to have numbers pushing B, I think. Assuming A is still up.
It does seem like when the trades are going down super fast, the offense just can outflood defense.
Yeah.
Because defense spawns kind of deep.
They spawn deep.
And we actually saw it earlier in the match today. They were spawning out far, and Optic, I'm pretty sure, just outflooded them, and there's nothing you can really do. And again, when teams get better at securing these chokes, it's gonna become so hard for teams to win. I feel like it's gonna become very hard for teams to win defenses on this map. But we'll have to see what happens in the future with this map. But what do you think so far about it in comparison to Albagra?
I think the map is a much better watch. I can't speak on it like as a player, because I do think spectator opinion and player opinion can differ sometimes.
Oh, 100%.
So we've only played it in ranked. I can't speak for the pro players. I do know some have said it's way better, just because, I mean, Albagra it's such a risky map, because you die once and then the whole round's over, and you're camping spawn for kills. It's not fun for anybody, for players to play, for people to watch, and this map, it's not a sore on the eyes. It's like a breath of fresh air. I think it's great for the scene, and I can only speak as a spectator, but I'm loving it so far.
Yeah, and Reese ends up going huge. He kills all 3 of the remaining Las Vegas members to end up clutching up that defense for him. So yeah, it's interesting, because shotzzy was saying earlier as well that they were triple hitting out top bar right here, and they do it here as well. They double hit out top bar, so we're seeing a little bit of a different break. Yeah. I wonder how important the trophy system is for the breaks on this map. I feel like if you get a trophy down A off the rip, it's basically just a wave of straight gunfights.
Well, I feel like a good play is maybe send like 3 towards A and someone towards top mid, playing like a late pinch. I mean, that's just me literally looking at the map right now and thinking about how it's going to play. Those players from B are probably going to try like reinforcing A and pinching like top bar and top mid. So if you send like a 3 towards A and one person top mid just waiting for a timing to catch that once they learn the timing, I feel like that could be a pretty good play. Nonetheless, kills are kind of going back and forth here.
Yeah, right here I just want to highlight this spawn. So you see, this is like one of those weird spawns that we talk about. Like, number 7 is right here, and he's blocking, like, realistically, he should be blocking this lower spawn. And then you have number 8 up here, and he's blocking the top left spawn.
I think at the least this player should spawn here, because let's
say he should spawn back B.
Let's say this guy is somehow blocking this spawn, which I guess is what's going on. This guy should at the very least be blocking the close spawn, and this guy should spawn here. So I'm a little confused by some of the spawns we saw. Like earlier, I noted how one player spawns here and one player spawned here, like a second apart, and I didn't see anybody from the opposite team like blocking anything.
Yeah.
So I do think as of right now, still learning the spawns and still trying to figure out why these things are happening, but it's important to note if you're a player playing ranked or you're a pro that these split spawns are happening.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. So just watching this map back today and watching the pros play it like 2 times, now when I play this map in ranked, I'm going to be so much more aware of where people are spawning. And all it takes is watching it back like 1 or 2 times. Control is super, I feel like control's super straightforward in this game. And this map just goes to show there's literally like 3 or 4 spawn points on the whole map.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's helped me a lot learning the spawns. But here we go. Vegas, again, on the defensive side. They kind of just put Boston in a super blend, and there's nothing Boston can do about it. You see them kind of start funneling towards B. They're taking that spawn, but they have eyes on it already. And that was a clean round out of Vegas. They do end up getting on at the last second, but I'm pretty sure he ends up getting cleaned up. That's a clean defense.
Very clean. And, I mean, obviously, just because you spawn close to the B point doesn't mean you're guaranteed to capture it. I mean, you see a slang masterclass here, and this is when I thought that Vegas sort of like kind of had like a chance to win this map. Essentially, I'm like, okay,
wait,
if they win this round,
winning this? I thought they ended up killing this guy off the point. And did they end up capping this?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was gonna say I could have remembered them getting killed off it at the last second. But yeah, I think this map plays really well. Let's see what Vegas does on their I think this is the last round on their next offensive break. I think this is where they went B, and they got stomped out at B, I believe, and then the rest of the round just kind of got away from them. I could be wrong. But yeah,
I mean, these points do seem like pretty close, right? Like compare this like a hotel control. A and B, like
I think I am wrong. They just got 3 dead.
You'll see sometimes like a team will like break off towards A on hotel offense and get a wipe diner and immediately try to audible B, and it's kind of a risky play because of that spa spawn. I do feel like it could be a good play on this map if you like sort of bait B and go A, because I feel like it's a lot. I feel like B to A is a lot more accessible on this map compared to the others, if that makes sense. I guess LSC low too. You can use bottom mid.
Like you can't just insta get to the other point like some of the other controls. It's not as accessible.
Well, no, I think it is on this map, especially based on especially based on the spawn, like because they spawn deep. I'm not sure if it's a good play. I'm literally just, like I said, we're kind of learning as we go right now with you guys. I'm just trying to think of like different types of things you can do. And I could be faded, but I feel like that could be a decent option because A does seem like the harder point to cap.
Yeah, and you see Boston doing it as well. I just want to back up here really quickly because this is what we've been seeing teams do a lot on their defenses. They push out this back left spawn, but I feel like it's such an easy position to get killed. There's really nowhere you can be because there's the staircase, there's that tent up there, and then.
Well, I mean, because your team is just spread so thin, like you can't afford to have multiple people up here because. They're spawning here. They're going to be pinching all the way around. They can pinch this bottom door. They can pinch top bar. They're just too much to watch. And this guy is usually trying to watch this back left area and this lane right here.
Yeah.
So I feel like you're kind of just spread thin, and that guy, if they go for him, is essentially going to get traded no matter what.
Yeah, Boston, I mean, they do a good job. They end up getting 4 dead, and again, you just see the setup. You see how far away they're spawning and how it could be difficult whenever you do get put in that trap. And that's why I think you're right, where we do see teams try to capture A first most of the time, because it seems like a pretty filthy trap to get put into. Unless you end up making the kills, I feel like your push is always kind of staggered. You're getting spawned out deep. Awakening gets 2. You're clearing out so many creds. There's so many pinch angles on this map.
I feel like clearing the guy off the street is so hard because of the off angles.
Dude, it's so hard.
They have an AR. You're forced to guess where they are. They probably have a trophy, so your attacks aren't working the way you'd like them to.
Dude, we were playing it in ranked yesterday, and I died like 4 different times because there's like 5 different creddies that you can play over near that fire pit where number 3 is. There's so many corners and like off angles that you can play. It just seems impossible. And then you got somebody snaking up here like Beans is. I don't know. We'll see how this map ends up transforming because people are going to learn it more. They're gonna master it, and we're going to see teams play it better and structurally more correct. But right now, it seems offensive heavy.
Yeah.
But I could see it turning into a defensive heavy map when teams learn how to play their lives, not give up, gunfights that they shouldn't.
I mean, if you're trying to learn the map right now and I'm another team, I would watch Boston because I do think they played sort of both sides very well. They won defense, they won offense, so you at least get some variety there.
Yeah.
So yes, offense could be favored, but obviously it's not guaranteed to win offense. You have to make the kills and make the plays. But
Boston ends up playing it well. You got to give credit. It's the first time we've seen it. It looks like they have a good idea, and you can tell when teams have a good idea how to play it. I just want to highlight Optic again today. They did play London, granted, and London's been struggling, so don't take this with a grain of salt. But it looked like they really understood the map and where they needed to go. Like we saw Ghosty pushing out that back A zone, blocking the spawns. It just seems like some teams have a better grasp on the map. And again,
the map does seem pretty basic. It's just like I think a lot of teams are apprehensive and a little, I guess, scared to play such a new map so quick in an official match. But I do respect the teams that gave the fans a show and let us watch. That was.
Yeah.
Would you agree that's better than Fortress to watch? I think night and day, not even close.
Yeah, it's better.